Richmond parents are concerned about what they call a lack of answers related to reported assaults happening within schools. Their call to action, plus how the district is responding.
Richmond police are warning about towing scams happening in the Richmond area. The next time you park, look out for one of these signs. What should it include and what should it say? We'll tell you at 6.
And we continue to give a voice to victims without one. A 24-year-old Richmond cold case has been heating up since we shared the story last June. Now, the hope it's giving the sister of a man found brutally murdered. The pandemic and inflation may have brought some young people home to live with mom and dad, but at least one multi-generational household in Central Virginia is proof that the benefits go way beyond the economic ones.
There's old cliches that say that the young are good for the old and the old are good for the young, and I get to see real evidence of that in real time.
The CBS 6 News at 6 starts right now. Richmond parents left with many questions after allegations of sexual assault inside a preschool. Good evening, I'm Bill Fitzgerald.
And I'm Janine Samuels. Thank you for joining us here at 6. CBS 6 problem solver Tyler Lane joins us live. And Tyler, you've learned about 2 other possible sexual assaults on Richmond school property since we first reported this.
Yeah, that's right, Janine. And tonight I can tell you that Richmond Police has finished its investigation into that reported assault here at Blackwell Preschool. The findings were turned over to the Richmond Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, but they say they are declining to prosecute due to the ages of the children involved.
It's been silent.
Richmond parent Karma Morrison feels left in the dark after a serious allegation regarding an incident at her child's preschool went public.
There hasn't been really any communication to the parents from Richmond Public Schools or even Blackwell Preschool.
As we previously reported, another parent alleged her 5-year-old daughter was assaulted in her private area inside a Blackwell Preschool bathroom by another student. That prompted an investigation by police. Since then, the school community has questioned why they were not notified when the alleged incident initially happened, where the proper Title IX guidelines followed, and what's being done to improve safety and supervision.
They could have said, these are the new procedures, these are the new measures we have taken, we are putting in place to protect your daughter and all of the other children. But they did not do that.
She says a community conversation where parents intended to voice their concerns was supposed to happen last month, but was abruptly canceled.
We haven't gotten any information about whether or not it is going to be rescheduled, when it's going to be rescheduled.
Now, Morrison and activists with the advocacy group New Era Richmond are calling for accountability.
There is a message that needs to be sent that there is going to be swift action taken when there is a sexual assault or any type of assault that happens on school grounds.
School board member Jonathan Young says anecdotally he has noticed a rise in Title IX reports within RPS this school year. CBS 6 have learned of at least 2 other recent incidents. A known adult possibly sexually assaulting a child at Blackwell Elementary in January, and an alleged sexual assault involving 2 first graders at Ginter Park Elementary in February. RPS spokesperson Matthew Stanley says all investigations are ongoing and appropriate agencies are involved. When a sexual assault occurs, Stanley says that this is supposed to be the protocol. Employees are required to report it to authorities, which is then investigated. The district then responds by providing care for victims and communicating with the school community. Those involved must maintain confidentiality and documents should be kept secured. And lastly, RPS offers follow-up support and resources such as counseling or medical care.
We are angry because our children are not being protected.
Now, about that community conversation, the sign here at Blackwell Preschool says there is a town hall planned for March 14th, and RPS confirms that future engagement opportunities for parents are indeed coming up. Here in Richmond, I'm Tyler Lane, CBS 6 News.
Thanks, Tyler. The Virginia Superintendent of Schools, Jillian Ballow, has resigned. That move was announced earlier today. Our Melissa Hippolyte takes a look at her resignation letter to Governor Youngkin and has a response from his office.
Jillian Balow didn't say why she was resigning in her letter to Governor Youngkin. Instead, she praised the governor, telling him that, quote, more than any other contemporary conservative elected official, she believed he had reinstated the importance of providing quality education, end quote. Balow also said she was proud of their work to get the Virginia Literacy Act passed and to provide a roadmap for school and student success and for parents to be their child's most important teacher. Balow took over as state superintendent in January of last year. She had been the face of Youngkin's campaign promises to change Virginia's education system by giving parents more control over their child's education and removing discriminatory and divisive concepts from the classroom. During her tenure, a revision of the state's history and social studies standards took place that led to criticism from some citizens and academic experts. But just last month, the Board of Education voted to advance Balow's latest draft version of the standards for public comment. Now, we reached out to the governor's office about Balow's resignation. They sent this statement. The governor thanks Superintendent Balow for her service to the Commonwealth and her work in advancing the governor's education agenda to empower parents and restore excellence in education. Balow's resignation is effective on March 9th. I'm Melissa Hippolyte for CBS 6.
Thank you, Melissa. Decades without closure about the horrific murder of their family member. On the anniversary of the death of a man found decapitated along the James River, crime insider John Burkett gives a voice to the voiceless victim and his two grieving sisters.
24 years is a long time to go without answers. In a recent Reopen the Case we aired in June on the murder of Eddie Northington, we spoke with his sister about the pain and grief her family has endured for almost 2.5 decades. Now on the anniversary, March 1st, detectives tell us this cold case may be heating up. Henry Edward Northington, a Navy veteran, was murdered March 1st, 1999. His severed head found on a footbridge. His body found about half a mile down the river from a homeless camp where he lived. His sister has always thought whoever killed her brother maybe did it because he was gay.
All of this would be so much different now. People look at people different now. You know, he was gay. They wouldn't have thought that was bad. This crime would not have been, it would still not be sitting where it is if it happened today. It would have been handled a whole lot different because the public wouldn't have stood for it either.
Reopen the Case featured Northington's case in June of 2022. After the story aired, detectives say several tips came in.
We've vetted some of the information to be accurate, and we're still following up on the leads. However, we're still a little short. We could use more information.
Coming up on CBS 6 News at 11, more from Richmond Police Cold Case Detective George Wade on the leads they're following and what exactly they need from the public to help solve this 24-year-old cold case. Outside police headquarters in downtown Richmond, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.
Police say more than 1,000 drivers in the area are victims of towing fraud. And now at least one Richmond business is under investigation for charging people too much or towing illegally. Our Elizabeth Holmes shares what one tow company wants you to know. Elizabeth?
Well, Bill, if you park anywhere in Richmond in a private parking lot, you should see this on a sign. You should see who is responsible for that parking lot. You should see who is authorized to tow and then how you get your vehicle back. Now, we talked with one towing company who says one company that is having misleading signs is not only hurting drivers, but it's also hurting other towing companies that are simply playing by the rules.
So I'm on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for Henrico Police. And I'm the only driver here.
Mark Fogg has worked at Pico Towing for 27 years. Recently, his company fell victim to bad business practices.
My first-hand experience is somebody taking my sign down and putting up their sign and towing away all my customers that have hangers to park in my lot. And then they have to find out where their vehicle is, and then they get overcharged outrageous amounts of money.
Fogg says he wants drivers to know what to look out for when they park their car. Towing notification signs should look like this.
The signs have to be 30-some inches wide, 30-some inches tall, with a 3-inch lettering at the top, all the way down to the bottom that goes to 1 inch. And it has to state the name of the property, your name, phone number, and all that good stuff. so they know where to come get their vehicle.
According to Virginia code, no hookup and initial towing fee of any passenger car shall exceed $150 statewide. An additional fee of $30 may be charged during nights or weekends. In Richmond, drop fees should not exceed $40.
If you're on the property, no matter if you're hooked up, got these on it, you done spent 20 minutes hooking that thing up and you're in motion with that vehicle and they come running out, drop fee. Because you're still on the private property. You haven't left them apartments.
Fogg says always keep a paper trail and your head on a swivel.
If there's no receipt, no paper trail, if he's not going to give you a receipt, you don't give him no money. You call the police over there because he's robbing you. And if you do have a problem, you need to reach out to your local law enforcement and tell them what's going on so the problem can get solved. Because if it doesn't get solved, it's going to keep going on and it's going to get worse.
Now, as you just heard, Fogg said if you do think you're being wrongfully towed or overcharged, make sure you call law enforcement immediately. He also said to always film and photograph when someone is towing your car, even if you, the driver, are in the wrong. In Richmond, I'm Elizabeth Holmes, CBS 6 News.
Rising prices are making it difficult for families to stay afloat financially.
But could the answer be growing your household? Next, I spent an evening with a local family where 4 generations are under one roof. Why they decided to live like this, and a financial expert explains why this decision could benefit many families in the long run. Zach?
Well, we have 2 good chances for rain headed our way over the next 2 days. I'll show you the timing of all of that so you can plan your way as we head into the weekend.
And coming up in sports, an update on the status of Spiders head basketball coach Chris Mooney, and we look back at VCU's coronation, the first of what they hope are 2 A-10 titles this season. But first, your Rosie's play of the day. Now, what you're about to see is Major League Baseball umpires walking off the field during a spring training game. It happened during the Pirates-Orioles game after Baltimore recorded the final out in the top of the ninth, trailing 7-4. The 2 managers spoke afterwards, and it resulted in both teams playing out the bottom of the ninth with no umpires calling balls as strikes or outs in the field. Baltimore catcher Maverick Hanley handled the balls as strikes calls behind the plate. The game was officially over in the top of the ninth. Umpires said, "We're done." The other teams say, "Hey, this opportunity to get some more reps
practicing
and finish the game off."
And there were no brawls and no brawls. Economic disruption brought on by the pandemic, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and inflation have all changed the way some households look. You may see 2, 3, even 4 generations under one roof. But one Central Virginia family I visited says the benefits go way beyond just the financial ones.
I'm making fry bread so that we can have Indian tacos.
It's just a normal weeknight at the Anderson home.
I'm the designated cook. I feel like I spent the most time with my grandmother cooking, and so everybody comes here to get like the closest version of her food.
33-year-old Jasmine Anderson, a mother of 2, is cooking for lots of family, as in extended family.
This is how my tribe live, is multi-generational households. And so it just seemed like the natural thing for us to do.
The Anderson household includes 4 generations. While other families have had to consolidate under one roof because of economic struggles, their Essex County homestead has always been this way.
There's old cliches that say that the young are good for the old and the old are good for the young. And I get to see real evidence of that in real time.
62-year-old Brenda Anderson Diggs, Jasmine's mother and a college IT professor, says that upside is easy to prove. When her mother died, the family closed ranks around patriarch Preston Anderson, who they feared was ready to withdraw after losing the love of his life.
I don't think you ever get over that, but we had to get him to the next step in that journey. And certainly having those great-grandchildren here, especially Joyce, that child was his therapy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Andersons might be an exception among those contributing to the rise in multi-generational households, which was happening before the pandemic, but which sped up in recent years.
Kind of gets exacerbated with the inflation. So, a lot of families are having grandparents ostensibly they're raising their children.
Finance professor Tom Arnold at U of R's Robbins School of Business says with inflation and rising interest rates, finding an affordable home right now is a challenge, especially for the young.
You do have kind of an inventory problem still a bit with housing. Now that may turn around, But that's probably not going to help the younger generation that are graduating right now. I don't see them going into houses, but then they're going to have to go and make different kinds of decisions.
Recent data compiled by U.S. News and World Report show inflation's impact on multi-generational households. Nearly 3/4 of those who went back to their parents' home or got a roommate did so because rising prices made rent and utilities simply too much. The same number also said home ownership is a long-term goal and that the next generation will have an even tougher time. But moving back home comes with challenges that go hand in hand with the financial benefits.
So it's maybe a little bit less about money and more about the social fabric of the family, being able to weave it back together.
Financial planner Jamie Cox with the Harris Financial Group in Midlothian says you need to be specific about who does what job up front.
So everybody understands before the move-in date what the responsibilities are, because if you don't, then you're going to have nothing but conflict along the way.
Cox points out the savings of not having to pay for an assisted living facility for elderly parents or childcare for young children can help build equity significantly.
You put turkey on here?
That's something everyone in the Anderson household seems to grasp.
It's been really helpful, especially with working from home and everything, because I have support. You know, I know that I'm blessed and very fortunate to have that support, because I know like a lot of people don't have it.
I actually started telling my students, you know, the thing is really don't sell grandma's property. It's the only thing you can't reproduce is time and land.
And if you're lucky, you can make memories beyond a single lifetime.
My kids are going to remember this. They're going to remember their great-grandfather. They're going to remember doing things with their grandfather. Oh, see, you know what? I got taco sauce because I forgot the salsa.
What a family. Financial planner Jamie Cox points out that sometimes caring for an older or younger generation can add expenses to your bottom line. He says, make sure you continue to put away for retirement, at least at your company's 401k match level. Zach?
All right, thanks, Bill. Okay, we have some high, thin clouds around, but it doesn't look like it's going to ruin the show tonight. The planets Jupiter and Venus have been getting closer and closer together the last several nights. Tonight is their closest apparent distance. It's what we call a planetary conjunction, and you can already see it right now, so it's going to get more dramatic over the next hour or so as it gets darker tonight. The brighter of the two is Venus. Just to the left of it is the planet Jupiter, so go out and take a look at it. Let me show you how we did for today. The morning low temperature on this first day of March, 40 degrees, and it was kind of cool, 59 the high, but still an above normal day. And outside right now, we're still sitting in the 50s, checking in at 54 degrees, a south breeze at 8 miles per hour. And again, just a few high, thin clouds around. Most of Virginia still in the low to mid 50s. It's 51 in Kilmarnock. The coolest reading is 50 down in Norfolk, while it is still in the upper 50s in a few locations, but 57 is about as warm as it gets. We still have high tree pollen, but a couple rain events are going to help that out, at least lower it temporarily over the next couple of days. There's a look through our Sky Tracker tower cam, looking down Broad Street. And there are the high, thin clouds. But again, I can see it from the Backyard Weather Center here in the Museum District. It's going to be a little tougher the farther south you go into southern Virginia. But everybody else should have a pretty clear view of that planetary conjunction tonight. All right, the warm air is just to our south and west. On the other side of this warm front, it's a very warm and increasingly humid air mass, a tornado watch in effect for the lower Mississippi Valley. And we're going to have that warmer air move into Virginia tomorrow. Bigger storm system is on the west coast right now. This one producing a lot of snow, a lot of rainfall as well. Lots of winter storm warnings all the way down to the U.S.-Mexican border. And let's look at the temperatures here. Just on the other side of the mountain range, 75 in Charleston, 73 in Nashville, so some really warm air. And we're going to get treated to that as we get into tomorrow. Bullseye for severe weather tomorrow is going to be from Dallas to Little Rock down towards Shreveport. Tornadoes likely there. And then as the system shifts to the east, a little bit more watered down, but still a threat for some tornadoes on Friday. For us, maybe a thunderstorm or two, but we are not in a risk area. Lows for tonight will be in the upper 40s and low 50s. Highs tomorrow, despite the morning rain, are going to jump into the low 70s by tomorrow afternoon, so much warmer than today. We'll have an 80% chance of rain tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., but only a 20% chance by 9 o'clock, so it gets out of here very quickly. So don't be scared by the high rain chances, because it'll be out of here quick during the morning hours. There it is at 6 a.m. Moves out very quickly, though, just some clouds for the rest of the day. Then another round of rain comes in on Friday. This is Friday morning at 7, and this one's going to last a little bit longer, so a greater potential for more of a washout day on Friday. everything clears out as we get into Saturday, but not before picking up anywhere from a half to an inch of rainfall. All right, 74 tomorrow, then 56 on Friday, breezy and 67 Saturday, lots of sunshine and 61 on Sunday.
We begin this evening with college hoops and good news from the Spiders program. Head coach Chris Mooney has successful surgery yesterday to remove an aneurysm in its ascending aorta. Mooney is resting comfortably at UVA's Medical Center in Charlottesville and will remain there for the next 4 to 5 days before he continues his recovery at home. The Spiders are in action tonight at the top of the hour against St. Joe's. We'll have an update at 11. Meanwhile, on the court last night, VCU won their first outright A10 regular season title since 2019 when they took down St. Louis 79-67 at the Siegel Center. They outscored the Billikens 48-32 in the second half and shot 62% from the field after halftime. Jalen DeLoach scored a team-high 14 to lead 6 players in double figures as the Rams clinched the top seed in next week's A10 tournament in search of their second conference championship. Head coach Mike Rhodes, he spoke after the game.
I told our guys 5 games ago, we won more 6 battles to win the war, regular season title. But we still have another battle, and we want to win another one on the road. That's really hard to do in the A10.
VCU's women opened the A10 tournament this afternoon against Dayton in Wilmington, Delaware. We fast forward to the 4th. Rams down 5 when Chloe Bloom gets inside and scores 2 of her 12. VCU down 48-43. Next Flyers possession, Sydney Freeman with a 3-ball from the corner pocket. Part of an 18-point afternoon for her. Dayton up by 7. VCU, they would not go away. Sarah Tibiasu gets to the basket and cuts Dayton's lead down to 1. She had a team-high 13 off the bench. Dayton, though, would have a response from Ariana Smith, who played all 40 minutes and scored 14. Flyers advanced 67-61. VCU finished their season 7-22. Now to baseball. The Flying Squirrels are hoping to get Sean Roby's bat back in the lineup for the season opener April 7th. He made a big splash last year at the Diamond by breaking Richmond's single-season home run record by July 4th and finished with 25 homers on the year. But that didn't come without some issues. Roby's batting average was over 20 points lower than what it had been the season before in single A. Merging those two approaches is what the Giants hope to see out of him in 2023.
I was just being patient at the time, just seeing it, waiting for my pitch, and every ball just looked like a beach ball at the time, and just staying with my routine.
I think our hope is that we can take both the entry-level version of Sean that we've seen and the evolution of Sean into the power hitter, merge them into one hitter, and have a very dangerous hitter more consistently than we saw a year ago.
And that's the latest from the CBS 6 Sports Desk.
All right, Zach, so rain is visiting us tomorrow?
Yeah, early tomorrow morning. It won't last very long. We're looking at maybe 3 hours of rain. So early in the morning, so gets out of here. 74 by the high by the afternoon.
Thank you, Zach. We'll see you back here at 7.